Julian and I are always high-fiving each other like, whoa, this Rama TV thing, it's so good. It's like, isn't it cool? Have you been home watching it? Yeah. Julian's been sick, and I could feel you watching at home, like happy that we created Rama TV. You should enjoy your creation. That's what you're here for. You know, enjoy what you've created. That's what you're here for, instead of being miserable from what you've destroyed. i.e. yourself. Okay, so here we are. Close the eyes for a second. Listen to the words of the master. Shifting from reality to non-reality through fantasies and commotions is the most costly, destructive way to live. You are seduced by your belief, not even by other humans, and you think, I must know it should work out. If it does not, then what? Whenever you give the mind a project, the mind counts successes and failures. Each failure of your fantasies, projections, commotions, emotions, and feelings affects the mind. You begin with confidence, and with that same confidence, your mind rejects you. It is not that others reject you. You are constantly playing games with your psyche, not respecting its inflow and mixture with the pranic energy until you technically become a lesser and lesser person. 80% of people who care for you will run away when they see inconsistent, non-progressive behavior. When you do not understand the system of your psyche and you are not sensitive in your life, feel how impoverished you are. All mishaps in life are because of that insensitivity. We are controlled by the heavens, by the earth's electromagnetic field, and by nature. Our strength is in our purity, piety, and clarity. Sometimes our emotions drag us away. They do not allow our rhythm to continue. When your progression cannot process your future, when your progression cannot process your future, and you do not have intuition, you commit foolish mistakes, and you are automatically dropped. A socialite, the star of all parties, failed to dress properly at one party. Afterwards, she never received another invitation. You are not trusted socially when your relationship, your existence, and your projection become embarrassing. We can all be victims of this. You can get away with it once, twice, but nobody will give you a chance to get away thrice. That is the sensitivity of social life. Think about how many times we all make these small mistakes. We do not realize the damage that has been done, the loss of status in our sociological and personal life. If we have our chakras open, we drink cold yogi tea early in the morning without milk, and do Sat Kriya to open our chakras and to have internal strength and open-minded strength. We will not use tricks or play games or use negative force. They never work to our benefit. You are blessed one time, you are blessed two times, maybe the third time you will not have a chance. There will be a pile of causes behind you and many frustrated people who once looked to you. And how can we avoid it? Well, we can avoid it if we create stamina. Your life is nothing but stamina. Your knowledge, body, mind, and spirit are no use if you do not have a hold on your stamina, your yogic endurance. People who cannot endure cannot cure their bad habits. God is infinite, you are infinite, but you deal with God with limited endurance. Endure emotions, commotions, and feelings. You will walk out of it slowly, gradually. This will give you self-mastery. This will give you a life. Satnam. Pretty good, right? Okay, so we want to cultivate stamina. It's very, very important for you to have stamina, and you have to know how. You need to know how you can kind of endure, and what it costs for you to endure, because you're running a race now, and you have to pace yourself because you want to endure. You want to be at the finish line. All right? So, and it doesn't matter how, we all have our different relative kind of progressive experiences, but we just want you progressing. And so that's what we're looking for every day, is a little bit of progress. But the endurance is one of the biggest parts of your cultivation of your yogic, well, we could call it all sorts of things, but majesty, mastery, both of those words came up. Endurance is the most important thing. People think, well, everybody wants an overnight success story. That singer Norah Jones. Like, this is the narrative they gave her, which is totally not true. I mean, she was making music forever, and then that one song hit. And the story that they put out, like the publicist put out, was basically she never went back to her apartment in Brooklyn because she was on the road for so long. Like, they basically just packed her up, put her in the tour van, and she was, and that was the story, because everybody wants the story of an overnight success. That's kind of, we like those stories. But it's never true. It's never true. The people who are the most successful and have the most progressive experience of their success and the most enjoyable experience of their success, it's a hard-earned, every moment, every second of every day kind of experience. We get that, right? So then we have this thing called social media. And everyone's embarrassing themselves socially on social media. That's basically, it was created to see how much you can embarrass yourself socially and think that you're going to be able to get away with it over and over and over again. Have you guys noticed this on social media? So we got to talk about this, because this is part of, you're going out there, you want to be a leader, you want to be, as I always give that Jello Biafra quote, which is, don't be afraid of the media, become the media. I'm very punk rock about this. We created this. Anybody do the punk rock zines? Okay, some of those my people over there. And so we create. If you want to have a revolution, you have to change the lexicon. You have to change the language. You have to have a media station. You have to have a radio station. You have to have some sort of publication, and then you do some other kinds. You have to have like Doc Martens and that kind of thing. These are the fundamentals of a revolution. All right, so I have 7 pairs. But so we have this social media situation, and we want to be leaders, and so it's very important to understand that you might get away with socially embarrassing yourself once or twice, but it doesn't. You don't understand it, because we're not clear on these. We're very short-sighted, and we're cultivating a longer-term kind of relationship with our own dignity. We don't understand that you don't necessarily get that third chance. And so you have to, if you're taking the posture, Yogi Bhajan called the posture of kind of weakness, the pakora posture, which nobody gave me a laugh the other day. I think it's hilarious. I had to read it 5 times. I'm like, I'm sorry, is he talking about those little onion pancakes? He was. Because if anybody, I want to see anybody here have some pakoras in front of you and not eat them. It's a weakness. It's a weakness in the human psyche. So he said the pakora posture is basically our posture of weakness. And there's actually a physical posture to the posture of weakness. It's in all 10 bodies. And then there's a posture of strength and understanding. When we do these Aquarian Business Academies, one of the things I love is that Yogi Bhajan says that being a salesperson or being a business person means that you are also a statesperson. You're a statesman, you're a stateswoman. And I take that very there's a dignity to being an entrepreneur. There's a dignity to being a yogi. There's a dignity to being human. And the age of Pisces has basically taken the human dignity and shredded it and put it on, it's in your book, that lecture where Yogi Bhajan talks about the self-sensory system. And he said, in the age of Pisces, it's like, how naked are you? I can be more naked. I put it up on a magazine and I'm more naked. I mean, have you, like, nobody, it's an amazing time, because like nudity is just like, oh, okay, whatever. I mean, that used to, like, now it's just like, I'll be more naked and I'll be more naked. I'll be more naked on my social media. I'll just put, little like whatevers on my nipples and my, I mean, like, it's like, how naked can we be? Let's just be more naked. And some girl was in our teacher training. She told us she hired one of these branding consultants, which says, nobody knows more than you know. It's called neuron velocity, which is why you should do that workshop from last night. Nobody knows more than you know, because you're actually opening your third eye. You have an intuitive faculty, and then add to it some prana, and then add to it some stamina. You have a major advantage in the marketplace. We get this, right? We're practicing major cutting-edge technology that gives you literally a running start at anything, because you can see things and you can sort things and you can maneuver things in a way that, I mean, very few people have this kind of capacity on the planet. Not only that, but people are just getting more and more confused and scared and depleted. So that's, because we're working on this polarity thing. So that's part of it. So this girl hired one of these branding people, and they said to her, well, every 3 posts on Instagram needs to be you, like in a leotard doing a yoga pose. And of course, we were having this conversation, and I said to her, yeah, this is why I basically have, I've made it my, mission to every aesthetic that we possibly can put out there are people dressed like literally as little flesh possible. Like, you can just see their faces and that's it. We're just going like full ankle, just to mess with the matrix. And mess with what the kind of images of what it means to be powerful and beautiful and real and in your body and a leader. I mean, and this is so, but it's very seductive, this stuff. I'm talking a lot, to my young people in here who want to be teachers. It's very seductive, because you will get followers if you do your Kriya and I don't know, nothing. I mean, because there's no shock value now, so you just have to do it completely naked with, like, I don't know, a Snapchat filter. I mean, that's it. That's all you can do, because nobody's shocked by anything. So, but this is, and we have to understand that your social projection, people, if you really are doing things right, people are going to start looking to you and looking at what you're doing and how you're doing it and how you're interfacing with everything. People are going to start to look to you. And so you become a very important coordinate of this human dignity. And it's not, again, we're in a post-moral time, so it's not that you can't, we're not saying anything about the human form or the beauty of the human form or how you relate to that, or, that's not it at all. So it's not, but it's how you relate to your own dignity that is going to become a very important, and is a very important imprint in the matrix. Because I was giving this talk, I was talking about this last week, I had to come on after Elizabeth Gilbert at this women's conference, and I was like, okay. It was really good for me. It was a really good upgrade. And so I came on and I was talking about what would happen. I just saw, because I was doing some deep liking. I told Hadi Jivan, I'm like, do you know what deep like means on Instagram? I'm like, it's when somebody likes, like 50 photos before the current photo. That means they've gone deep on you. They're going deep, and they liked it. He was like, oh, deep like. So now he uses it in conversational, and sometimes I have to tell Hadi Jivan, I'm like, Hadi Jivan, I need to break something to you. I actually need to tell him this morning when I see him. You lost some followers last night. It's a serious conversation when we have to talk about this. But we get through it. It's hard. It's hard for everyone. I was scrolling on whatever, and I saw Kim Kardashian came out yesterday. Did you see this? She said she cries every day about how big her butt is. This is an article. I was busy doing my dharmic studies, and I saw this. But just I want you to get this. Kim Kardashian actually did a very good job putting into the cultural matrix a new archetype. I have a lot of respect I'm into these Kardashian girls. I like the youngest one who's like a billionaire. So she did a very good, but whatever's happening, however the thing's being controlled, that article is very, very damaging to all of the girls who all of a sudden were like, oh wow, I don't need to look like I'm on heroin and eat like a carrot every day. I mean that was a major. She impacted a big cultural movement, and so. None of this is real, but they're controlling the matrix in a very specific way. And part of this, the practice of this Kundalini Yoga is that you have enough velocity, you have enough intuitive capacity, you have enough prana mixed with the command of your discipleship and your yogic stamina that you can see the forest for the trees. So we're not hiding our head, we're not participating in what's going on the planet, but we can see what's happening. So that one article is, there's a bunch of young women right now wondering, like, should they also feel bad about themselves? This has big social impact. And that's, so we need new leaders on the planet. Do we get this? Those leaders are you. We need new leaders. We need people who understand the impact of their fame, the impact of their words, the impact of their psychomagnetic field, the impact of their human dignity. And it's great. It's bigger than you can really comprehend. We don't know. We have no idea how many we will affect by our choices and the way that we relate to the inflow and the outflow, which is a yogic capacity. And it's also what we're going to be talking about in Aquarian Business Academy in New York, whenever that is the inflow and the outflow. It's a yogic capacity. It's about prosperity. It's about chi. It's about energy. It's about how you relate to your creativity. It's about your love life. It's about everything. How do you inflow and outflow? It's everything. How do you input and output? Because obviously they're not just scrambling Kanye West chip, the people who do that. They're not just scrambling him. Now they got to her. It's like, not on brand, Kim. Let's get this together. This is not on brand. Somebody needs to tell her what happened. Is Chris in the Barbados or something? Like, what's going on? This is not on brand. No. So you got to get with how your projection is in this meditation. One of them we did last night. Hadij even said, this is going to literally create the kind of psychomagnetic projection that changes every environment that you even think about going into. That's power. And with great power comes great responsibility. So we want to relate to our social, and for the women in here, it is the worst thing you possibly can do to embarrass any men in your life socially. You might as well just stab them in the fucking heart. It's true, isn't it? And women do it all the time. They have all these, if you want to talk smack on your whoever it is, you have to pick one woman who's not your mother, who's trustworthy to do that with. And that's it. And that's what we do women's community. You have your woman you can have your, you can bitch about something to, without socially embarrassing the men in your life. But it's a huge issue. It's a huge issue, but the same thing for women. And in that self-sensory lecture, Yogi Bhajan says, we're just making a fool of ourselves. Like, we're the greatest incarnation of the creative force that ever has been. This planet everyone is looking at this planet to see if we can possibly pull ourselves up by the bootstraps and not extinct ourselves for the 5th time. There's a huge kind of prayer around this planet Earth to see if we can do it. And it's not, the odds are against us. So your human dignity and the choices you make on a momentary and secondary basis, these are huge choices. These are huge. And the bigger your energy field gets, the bigger you get, which is what we're interested in. We're interested in you becoming more powerful, the bigger those moments are, because your impact creates revolutions, maybe some that you don't even realize. And so when I was talking on the thing, I was actually talking about the Kardashians at this women's conference, because that's all I talk about. And they had just come out with the medieval waist slimmer. They were all wearing these waist slimmers. Do you remember that? A couple years ago. And I was going off about it. It was before the other one became a billionaire, so I had something else to talk about them. But so they were all wearing it, and I was thinking, and what would happen if the women on this planet would wake up, and what would happen if we weren't so kind of hypnotized by the cultural matrix that we had the sovereignty to be able to have our own kind of cultural experience and social experience, and it's decolonization is my favorite word for this. So how do we do that? And I said, what would happen? And I put something up on social media about it at some point, and somebody just answered #Armageddon. And that's why they don't want you to do it. Do you get it? All right. So this is why there are many forces that don't want you to figure out that this is how the kind of control matrix works. So we just want to wake up now. How do you wake up? Stamina, neuron velocity, your pranic body mixed with your psyche and the clarity of your intuitive fortitude, your intuitive wisdom, your intuitive alertness, and then you use that, and then you make strong choices. And when you make strong choices, then you start to affect the culture. You become a human that changes the face of human history, and we need you so bad. All right? Satnam. Thank you.